haulers and skimmed off hundreds of thousands of dollars every year as a middleman.
Andy, what does that mean to the taxpayer?
That means the taxpayers back then were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars more for an unnecessary middleman because the waste haulers were doing all the work. And we believe on this recycling contract, the same thing holds true, that they would eventually contract this out to somebody that knew what they were doing.
Yeah, this sounds like a contract from hell, Andy.
Yeah, and it is.
This sounds like a contract from hell.
And one of the reasons is this is important in North County, folks, is that right now the city of Santa Maria landfill, a lot of people believe it's going to have to be closed in a few years. San Ynez is getting its trash hauled to Tehiguas, and also Cuyama. Believe it or not, they haul a Santa Barbara waste hauler drives all the way out to New Cuyama.
60 miles.
Well, no, from Santa Barbara.
Oh, from Santa Barbara.
Oh
my
From Santa
word.
Barbara out to New Cuyama, drives back, goes right by the Santa Maria landfill and takes it down to Tehiguas. That costs, I think, like $100,000 a year for them to do that because they close the landfills out there. And the bottom line is because of environmental pressures and things like that, they're closing these landfills that were regional.
They don't. A lot of these closings don't make sense to me. I've got a degree in environmental science, and I've done some environmental impact studies and statements. In fact, I was involved in 1969 when we set up the first matrix, the National Environmental Policy Act. When that first thing passed, that's when I was getting my college degree and working on the very ground floor. And we never intended things to get this crazy. We've got a lot of what I call eco-nuts.
Right, that's what they are.
They've gone way over the
way
deep end.
over.
And you, the taxpayer, are going to pay and keep on paying a lot more. I'm so glad you brought this up, Andy. I hope you've caught this. But the bottom line of what Andy's talking about is you, the taxpayer, especially you, Bob, that doesn't vote. I got another email from Bob. He says, it's a waste of time to vote. I won't vote for anybody. Bob, if you don't pay attention, you're going to pay more and more. And Bob always says, I'm so busy making a living, just keeping my family afloat. I don't have time to vote or get involved in the issues.
Well, what's going to happen with this trash issue, because they're closing these dumps and there's pressure to close Tehiguas, the county is now looking for a regional landfill, and you and I both know that's going to be in the North County. It's not going to be in the South. And the city of Santa Maria is going to be asked to join this regional landfill as they close theirs. And so here's what they should do. Instead of spending $10 to $20 million on this pie-in-the-sky thing in Santa Barbara, what they should be doing is building what they call a grand MRF. It's not a partial MRF, where you could put all of your trash and all of your recyclables in one can, and it goes to a thing called a dirty MRF. And the dirty MRF will separate everything and anything they can out of that to recycle. They do it mechanically to recycle.
I mean, you don't have people sitting there picking through.
In some cases they do. In some of the cases it's mechanical. It's a combination. And then what they do is what they can't sell, what they can't salvage, what they can't recycle, it goes to the landfill, this new landfill, and the rest gets bundled up or processed or what have you. Well, the point here is they should not be doing a contract with the CEC and the city of Santa Barbara for the next 15 years when we're right smack dab in the middle of trying to create a regional approach to a long-term landfill solution.
Andy, do you know who the employees of this lucky organization? I won't even
The guy used to be the county supervisor in San Luis Obispo, Bud Laurent.
Oh, really?
Yep, he was a former county supervisor. Now he's the executive director of the Community Environmental Council.
He's good friends with Naomi Schwartz, isn't he?
Yep, and Jeannie Sparks in Tom Urbanski's office.
What a terrible coincidence. What a terrible coincidence. Former county supervisor happens to be a good friend of Naomi Schwartz, and he wants a 15-year
contract.
15-year contract.
With no competition.
No competition.
No competition, guaranteed rate of return, and a guaranteed built-in profit. And I asked, where can I sign up for that deal?
Can I get that too, Mr. Urbanski? Andy and I would like to create an organization.
Well, I'm sure Urbanski and Gray will vote against it. I'm sure they eventually will.
It's 2 to 3. I think this is going to take a legal action to stop this.
I think that
this does stink. I mean,
does.
this really stinks. And I've seen a lot of things that stink, and that's why I started doing this show. On second thought, I don't think this is a good idea what they're doing down there.
And the sad thing about it again is the public was left out of the process. The public that should have had a chance to bid
Explain
and
that.
compete.
Explain that again real
What they
quickly, because
do-
we're about
okay,
to
what
at the
they
end
do
of our
is,
time.
is they had a process by which other people could compete. The county shut it down unilaterally with no explanation, and then after
Was there a
this,
vote on that?
No, it was a quote unquote staff decision.
Staff decision.
And then afterwards, we have this long pregnant pause, and now all of a sudden we have a sole source bid, a proposal before the city and the county.
Pregnant pause. If you remember pregnant Chads and dimple Chads, that's what we got going on here in Santa Barbara County. And I don't think it'll do any good to call Joni Gray, would it?
Well, I think they should raise hell about it.
Right. What they need to do is call the district attorney and say there's another violation of law. I can't remember the name of the law, but
Well, it'd be nice if we had a grand jury with teeth as well. This is a job where we should have a grand jury with teeth. But as you know, the county supervisors kicked the teeth out of the grand jury many, many years ago.
Yeah.
For instance, the Planning and Development Department, something like 7 of the last 10 grand juries have reamed these people over the coals, and nothing's ever changed.
Nothing ever get done.
And during last year's hearing, they didn't know I was doing this. I actually read from a grand jury report that was 10 years old into the record, and they couldn't tell that I wasn't speaking to the current grand jury report. They could not tell. The issues
Nothing
were the
has
same.
changed in 10 years.
The
nothing's
analysis
changed.
was the same. The recommendations were the same. They couldn't tell because
It's
because there's no political will on that board to change it.
Well, I'm hoping with the new census that North County, since they won't let them build and add people down there, that we've grown to the point, we either got to start our own county, we got to break away from the Goleta, Santa Barbara area, or we've got to get enough clout.
Well, this is going to be one of the biggest issues this year. In March or April, those figures will be out. The county has to have the redistricting done by, I think, August. Our organization will be following this. But the bottom line is the North County voters were disenfranchised in the 80s to the point that 19,000 people in the North County were not represented on the Board of Supervisors by 1990. In other words, there wasn't one man, one vote as represented 5 supervisors. And then they started in 91. They gerrymandered in 91. The 3rd district should have been pushed north, but they gerrymandered around the prison to bring in the felons to up the count in the 3rd district. And yet it still wasn't equal because the 4th and 5th districts...
How did they get away with that?
Well, because the law, once again, the law is vague. Court cases, it said 7 to 10%. You could argue in court. Well, so they made sure it was less than that. They made sure the disparity was 5%.
Yeah, there's a 5% rule, isn't there?
There's something like that.
Yeah.
So they maxed it out. But the board got one of their votes by saying every year they would look at the State Department of Finance figures to look at population and every year revisit it and redistrict in midstream. Well, conveniently, they forgot to do that.
How convenient of them.
How convenient.
How convenient of them. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you paid a close attention because there's a really important issue. And Andy, I got to thank you for being on the ball, Andy. You're a good guy doing a thankless
thank you for
job.
the time.
And stick with us on Second Thought. We're going to have a really good guitarist coming up here, a little different from these hardball issues. Stick with us. Don't surf away, and we'll be back here on Second Thought. On Second Thought.